Welcome to the Authentic Action Podcast. I'm Angel Lilly, also known as ZGALA, and I'm thrilled to have a special guest joining me today as we kick off a new practical healing series. Gina Carlson is joining me today to talk about her experience with some healing modalities, some of the same modalities that I'm familiar with, and then I think some that I'm not familiar with. So I'm really excited to hear more about your work, Gina. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I've mentioned, I'm a little bit nervous and rusty, so I'm excited to get back into the flow of talking to another human being. Thank you for being that person.
Well, thank you so much. I love the feel of you and your authenticity. I feel I'll just kick off right away because you said that you feel nervous. I actually feel really safe, and the way that you are holding space already is making me just feel really open to this conversation, how it's going to unfold, what I'm going to learn, what I'm going to share. I'm just super excited for this experience.
Wonderful. That makes me really happy. I looked you up a little bit and I was excited to see that you're a heart math facilitator and that you have a whole awesome system, the biology of being, if I'm analyzing the whole thing right. It looked like you're into a lot of really neat stuff and a lot of the same stuff that I'm into. So um, do you want to tell us a little bit about a little bit about your healing journey and how you came to be a founder of a proprietary healing system?
Sure, sure. So I'll work it backwards. B360 Life Rehearsal Training is my system. Under my company is the Biology of Being. And that really has been an evolution over really 26 years now of being in the 3D world, in the corporate world, and just being confronted all the time. I measure, though we didn't have these tests back then, but I measure 7 on the trauma grid. What is it? ACT?
I know what you're talking about, and I
Yeah,
can't think of
yeah,
the name of it at the moment either. It's something like that. Yeah, ACT. I
yeah.
can't believe it. ACE. Yeah, ACEs.
ACE,
Right? Yeah.
ACE, that's it. Yes. And I just, from the moment I was born, have been just so ambitious and curious about the world with another movement inside of me that pulls back and down and in. Gift and curse of that is a perspective that I just rested in, was nourished by, and really it was a perspective of beauty of life, whatever it was, even the hard things or the heartbreaking things. The curse being insecurities in the world, because I love that movie, that line from the movie I See Dead People. Like I was seeing things and perspectives that other people weren't seeing. So trying to have a conversation about my experience growing up, I kind of grew into an identity as an adolescent, feeling insecure and awkward. And also because I wanted to be in the world and be on the playing field at a very young age, I developed workable masks and identities that I could win in the 3D. And so my life has really just been these two worlds and how to bring them together more authentically. Obviously, timing is a lot of it. I mean, we're living in an age now where a lot of the discoveries that I was having in the 90s, we didn't have names for the importance of feeling safe. Although the work that I stumbled on and started to practice in the 90s, which was largely movement and sensation focused meditation with some improv and some journaling and working with primal sound and character in a group of 12 to 18 people for 3 hours a week in this amazing studio, led by the magnificent Camille Maureen. Her work then was moving theater. She has moved on from that work, although what she's doing now, obviously, that work is integrated in with what she's doing now. But the work and the practice was, the other thing to say about it, I was the only corporate person in there. Every other player, or when I say player, I mean participant in that group, was a healer, an artist, but nobody in the business world, really. Maybe one or two, and I was doing that work with her for 10 years. And yeah, maybe one or two people in that period. But I found that the more that I did that practice, the better I got in life, in work, in corporate. And I went from being the underdog, the, most likely not to succeed person, to being a top producer. I finished off my corporate career in the C-suite, invited in by, there were three CEOs that at that time in the really, I don't know when, let's see, what decade would that have been, but maybe like around 2010, when it was becoming evident, they couldn't ignore it anymore, that culture mattered in companies. And that was a big conversation that, I was wanting to have everywhere, staff, managers, leadership, but was usually I would get sneers and eye rolls, because one time somebody tried to characterize my interests as, oh yeah, she's just really into like all that seance-y stuff. And it was the only reason why I think I survived in that space is because I was a top producer. And at one point, the CEO, I didn't even know he knew that I existed as one of 6,000 employees, but he came to me. He said, I don't know what you're doing, but other salespeople like you. The staff likes you. Production operations like you. You've never lost a client and you're a top producer. What are you doing? I was like at first I felt like, I know I'm not doing it right. And then I had all the secrets of, I wasn't doing 60 hours a week. The way that was part of the corporate, that's what you led with, was how hard you worked and how much you personally sacrificed to meet your goals or, exceed your quotas. And I just wasn't doing that, not because I was lazy, but because I couldn't handle it. So early in my career, at the time that I discovered the moving theater work, I was just really confronted and having a hard time with stress, burnout, frozen, and not being able to compete like a shark in the business world. And I had a little boy and I was a single mom. And so I was determined to figure it out. And I had a long history of meditation, but I never really thought of it as a strategy for business. When I discovered the moving theater work, it's like meditation, on steroids, because of the trauma history and pattern, that freedom to sort of let everything loose and out of the cage through movement, sound, expression was, at the time, I had read the book Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine, Waking the Tiger. But again, it was like people would come to the office like, what's your sales great book? And I'm like, Waking the Tiger. And they're like coming up with all these how to win at sales books or, anyway. So I just always kind of felt like the geek, but the geek was making headway. And so that is kind of how it all started to come together for me. And it was so deeply meaningful because not only was I succeeding on the goal line of life, but I was healing and becoming the version of me that I loved being, safe with me, safe with others, rested, making better decisions, not so triggered anymore by everything. And so it just being something that I couldn't look up online as, oh, okay, somebody's got to be like onto this or teaching this. It just became a sort of intention to not only keep deepening in this work for my own benefit and healing and value. I wanted to see if I could systemize it in some way. And it hasn't been easy because we do have so much taboo with the body and our voice and how we move and how we sound. And we really are conditioned into the idea that, I don't know, like you can go to dance class, you can learn ballet, you can go do yoga, you can do scales or play an instrument. But when you are given the complete and total freedom to explore your own sound outside of language, outside of scales, your own movement outside of a discipline like ballet or even modern dance, there are, there's a template there. And so this work just, what I just learned and discovered is that the resources inside of us, when we get out of the conditioned response and out of the, okay, here's your options, A, B, or C. You can do therapy, you can do embodiment practice, you can heal through art. But really, what I discovered is it's so personal and intimate, and it's boundless, and it is the new frontier. It is there. We are going further into space, and we've discovered the planet that we live on. But the real frontier is the feeling of me deep inside, and will never ever. It's infinite. And with every one of those experiences is information. And now science is backing that up. There's so much data there to mine. And I just feel that the more that I do this work, the more access to that information, the more I have to throw at my challenges or my obstacles. And the B360 life rehearsal workout really is, okay, what are the main components that I am distracted right now because there's a giant refrigerator out my window and all I see is it doing this over the fence. So somebody's getting a refrigerator. It's like
an impressive movement for a refrigerator.
Yeah, I'm like, how's that going to go? But really, just how to make this so simple and easy for people to be able to move from, an outer world orientation that measures things based on some criteria by some authority to becoming your own litmus test. And what 100% I'm confident in is that if you can just give yourself over to it, being that litmus test in the unknown, in that surrender, you're getting access to higher levels of intelligence that is so beyond the solutions to your life are. There's just so many ways you could go. You don't even see problems anymore. Yeah. And the elements of it are really, I'm just going to list them. But it really, and I say this because I don't even think people know that they don't know how to do this, but we have gotten away from our primary orientation that we are feeling beings as a species. And it's come through just, 10,000 years of an outer authority model, patriarchal, that wants us, that really from the time you're born, it's like the authority is someone or something outside of you, an institution, an expert, a doctor, a spiritual advisor, a parent, but we get super cut off from our own inner authority.
Mhm.
And inner authority is felt. It's felt. It's not thought. It's felt. But when we remember, reattach to it, we recognize it as intelligence, higher intelligence. We recognize the design of it is to thrive and heal, and so I think that's so much of what's going on with the crisis of humanity right now is trying to do life disconnected from your feeling body. And
Mhm.
there's so many great ways that we can reattach. I mean, embodiment practice, yoga. There's so many people doing so many great things to help us embody and come into that grounded, centered reality. And that said, it's still, because we're so traumatized as a species, I think there's so many people that don't even know that they don't feel.
Yeah.
So that's that's the first thing we tackle in the system. But what's fun about it is I do it in movement during your workout, whatever your workout is. I teach it in a high intensity interval training class just because it's practical. You can do it hiking, you can do it in yoga, but it's just a way of, it's an inquiry and it's a way to track subtle sensation. Emotion is included in it, but usually when we're moving, we're really becoming aware of our sensory capacity, multi-sensory capacity, whether it's our breath or our skin flushing or our heart rate increasing, those, primary levels of experience. But as we focus through the five senses, we start, oh my God, the subtleties and all the things that we didn't even know we were feeling, the new little novelty feelings. And then when we bring our consciousness and our awareness to them, they're like, oh, I have a secret for you. I have something for you. I can heal that. Oh, I can make you not have allergies anymore. Like the whole design of the autonomic nervous system is once you get down in there and start giving it the cue versus it taking its cue from, misunderstandings, right? Just that you can't argue with the data now. Evidence is the loudest voice. Dr. Joe Dispenza is one of my heroes and mentors. And you just can't argue with the data that we can do things by mind alone. So the ability, though, to feel is like, it's just primary to be able to access that information. So that's one component of it. And during the workout, we're usually people, myself included, but we are sort of not organized around a focus during a workout other than doing the exercise rep correctly for safety, or just keeping awareness of our heart rate for safety, or, being safe in a space so that you're not running into other people, or if you're on a bicycle, not, getting in traffic. But when all of that is established, although there are a lot of people who use their workout to plan their day or vision or ask the hard questions, that's great. But a lot of people are just sort of check the box, did my workout. But when we can use our workout to organize our vision for our future, where am I if I was going to rate the intensity is not the right word, but my sensory capacity right now? What am I picking up? How present am I? What the paradox of it, I'm sure you've meditated, is that when we're fully present, we can get a whole day's worth of work done in a minute. And we're like, whoa, I just got a whole day's worth of work done and it's only been 20 minutes. And so being able to use your workout to really connect with your vision of your future, how it would feel, what it looks like, planning your action of the steps that you see that need to happen, the movement you have to make towards your goal, whatever that is. Being able, a big part, I haven't mentioned this yet, is the lens through which we see life, like being aware. We're only seeing what are through a lens that is just the sum of everything we've ever experienced. And there's just two kinds of people in the world, those of us who know we're seeing through a lens and those of us who don't know, who think that our lens is reality. So becoming aware of the lens through which you see, is it working for me, this lens? It's really not working for me. It's really stresses me out that I see myself in the world this way. What kind of lens am I going to choose? So it's a real process of becoming sovereign during your workout, and then with all of the exercise science on movement. The scientists, I can't remember her name. She's an amazing influencer. Oh, it's on my Instagram. She has the very best post. And she's so heartfelt. The scientists, every time we contract a muscle, we release antidepressants into our blood. Every time we contract a muscle. And the scientists call them hope molecules. And then when you get into understanding brain-derived neurofactor, our intelligence and ability to organize and be effective goes from 0 to 1,000 in movement. And yet we sit at desks and we talk like this. But if we were moving right now while we were doing it, we would be growing our intelligentsia by infinite amounts. And anyway, so that's what B360 Life Rehearsal Workout is basically. And the last piece that wraps the lens, the vision, feeling, and thought all together, learning how to work with those four pieces in a workout is then using your workout to simulate the challenges of your life and rehearsing. And it's so fun. So rather than just doing a squat in the gym, if it's on a day when you have a hard meeting with your boss where you have to go ask for a raise, make it a predatory squat and feel into being a tiger. And when you cue your body like that, you're really, what you're doing is cueing your energy field. So when you walk into that meeting, your boss is going to feel like a tiger just walked in the room. He's not going to see a tiger. You're not going to be growling, but that he's going to feel your energy. So it really is so fun. There's so many places you can go with the workout. And I think I've probably been talking for a long time, but
I love it. Huh? Thank you.
But that is, you asked, how did I get to that and where did I come from? So that is where I am. And if there's...
No, I love all of that so much. I love how you and I have come to such similar conclusions through different lives. And I mean, not that I didn't know we were on the right track, but it's just wonderful to hear through you come to so many of the same words. And I'm intrigued because I studied organizational management and leadership, but I have stayed the individual route to my detriment and plus. But it looks like you have dived into the corporate world in ways that intrigue me greatly. So I would love to know more about, you mentioned getting involved in the 90s, but I wasn't clear, did you, into this type of work, but did you start involving the corporate world, or were you just your glowing, smiling self and eventually they asked you to do something, or do you work with corporations?
If only it was that elegant.
Right.
If only. No, you know who Megyn Kelly is?
I know the name, and I'm terrible with name to face sometimes.
I really only know her because I saw a movie on an airplane about her life. I don't remember the name of the movie, but she's a influencer. I think she used to be on Fox News. Now she has her own, the Megyn Kelly Show. But in the movie, I think it was Charlize Theron played her character. And as Megyn Kelly in the movie, she said, "I am a recluse seeking stardom." And I love that line so much because I was like, oh, me too. Me too. And I didn't pick corporate. I did not pick corporate. I was picking all kinds of way more glamorous things. I moved to LA in the end of the, let's see, when I was, in my 20s, mid 20s. And I ended up going to work for a big fashion house at the time, Guess Jeans. I don't know if you've heard of them. But yeah, they were pretty big. And in the first few years, is a really radical organization. It was corporate, but they also were, outlaws. Anyway, they had come here from another country and created this empire in a very short amount of time. And I graduated college and started as a receptionist. And mostly I wanted to get out of my hometown because I couldn't see a future there. So I moved to LA, and the only job I could get was the receptionist at the headquarters. And it was around the time of the Rodney King riots. And so they moved their operations to Beverly Hills. Like my start date, I interviewed in downtown LA, and then I started in Beverly Hills. And it was just a super empowering experience. It's like work hard and dedicate yourself and invent your role. And within a couple of years, I was leading a division. I had 100 people working under me. I was the national store planning manager. And I wasn't even 30 yet. And I was like, wow, I'm super good. I've made it. And boy, just think that thought. You'll go, that was the last thought I remember thinking before I
Look, Mom,
spiraled down the mountain. Yeah. So that is where my corporate career started. And after a few years, I was starting to feel like pulled by, I want to do my own line. I was raised by a writer, and it was conditioned into me early to be a creative. And I thought, I'm going to start my own fashion line. And then I also, at that time, got pregnant. And I fell in love with just the whole prospect. And my son's father, my boyfriend, lived in Italy. And so I just most arrogantly and foolishly thought, I'm meant to have this baby, and I am not going to do it working 14 hours a day. So I quit my job. Don't quit your job when you're single, pregnant. And, and my joke to my dad was, and I'm turning 30. And, but I did, and I tried entrepreneurial life. And that was actually the second time. First time was, as a teenager. But it didn't work for me on so many levels because eventually my son's biological father and we remained friends, but it was just hard. Our situation was hard. So, and then it ended up that he was just a little bit of weight for me. So I had to sort of, separate a little bit from that. And, the drama is fun and in a certain way. And, and then life is real. And there was a baby here and he was counting on me. So I kind of had to, let that go. But I realized entrepreneurial life was, I'm single. I was doing skincare at the time and I loved it. And I had this great little salon in West LA and my clients weren't talking and I didn't have colleagues. And after a few years, I was like, I need some dynamics. So I went back into sales and I just was super triggered by it. I hated the culture. I had so many judgments about the whole idea of sales. I felt above it. And I was just racked with fear because I had to make it work at this point. That because of my son, I had to make it work. And I just couldn't make it work the way that they were doing it. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the stamina. I wasn't aggressive. I wasn't a dominator. I was the opposite. I was a little bit of a, like, I don't even know how, I think I almost fainted in my interview for the sales job. But my first sales job, they maybe hired me out of pity. I think the guy who interviewed me was actually quitting the next day and had to fill a spot on the team. So I got that first job, but that led to, I got recruited, and I actually, pretty early on did well because I figured out that sales was stressful, but service was nourishing. And I stopped focusing on selling and I just focused on listening to people. And people just, I wrote a lot of business. And the joke around the office was, do you even know what we do here? I'm all, kinda. But people loved to do business with me because they trusted me and I cared. And it was good for me to care about you as a person and understand your world and what problem it was that our company could solve for you. And it wasn't coming from a book at the time or a strategy. It was self-preservation for me of, I got to get through this day and not be completely drained and get something intrinsic out of it. And then I was like, oh, God. I remember getting calls from sales managers going, do you know that I worked in the legal industry, eventually unfolded into that. They're like, did you know such and such law firm today called and they just hired us to do 50 depositions. I mean, that was hundreds of thousands of dollars of business for the company. And I didn't even know what they were talking about. Like, really, when I say lost, it really was just kind of the way that I survived. But I would get triggered. I was insecure. I was great with clients, but horrible with leadership. Horrible inside the company. Like, they would just look at me and go, how did we even give her a job? I would freeze. I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk unless I was prepared. And my focus of preparation was my nervous system, but I didn't call it that back then. I just was building resilience through this work so that that problem went away. But I didn't know, I knew they were connected, but it wasn't like, well, I did kind of think of it as my version of therapy, but it was so cause and effect for me that it was just kind of this seamless, it was just part of my life. And so I overcame that inability to speak, convincingly and competently pretty early on in my corporate career. And then I just, I just became a top producer in that industry. And I was there in that industry about 15 years. And then this, after several, by the time I was vice president of sales eventually and was there for quite a few years. And that is when this first CEO came to me and I was like a deer in the headlights, like my whole body reacted like I did something wrong. I'm in trouble. And it was so rewarding. It was so rewarding. I still was feeling like, I don't know, I'm still in this box. And I stayed a few more years. A couple other CEOs from a couple other companies came to me, the third one being the one who offered me the C-level chief culture officer position. And the problem was the alignment with the board. So you'd think that with the CEO backing you and giving you a platform, that would be enough. We were having so much culture change. Executives were changing, staff was changing. It was so amazing and beautiful, but we just weren't organized yet at the ability to quantify it for the board. And so anyway, it was then that I decided I got to go out on my own. And so I did that in 2015. And who finds me in the work that I do? I sort of hang my hat as a meditation teacher mostly for the majority of the last 8 years since I quit corporate. 10 years now. 10 years now. And then I teach the system under the guise of that, and just have had the dream to bring it online to reach more people and clarify it more. But the people who find me are corporate people. It's ambitious, burnt out people who are on the scent of something deeper, more meaningful. They know they can help the world in some way. Those are the people that end up working with me. Yeah, corporate's an amazing space. It's untapped opportunity. It's got a structure. I mean, the hardest part about leaving corporate is, a friend of mine said yesterday, I actually wrote it down. You don't realize all the things supporting you until they're not there. I mean, a big part of my struggle in entrepreneurial life has been, I don't have the assistant anymore to take care of that, or the marketing team to take care of that, or leadership to go to handle this. It just was astonishing to me at how unprepared I was for entrepreneurial life. But it took several years to realize that I was trying to create from that identity. And that is, if somebody asked me, what is the number one thing you learned the hard lesson, I'd say from the minute you enter as an entrepreneur, you have to change everything about yourself in terms of business and career. If you're coming out of corporate or a more organized institution, you have to let it go and let yourself be dumb. I got used to being the expert. I got used to being the go-to. I loved the titles. I came from nothing. I loved the validation. It was super. I just wasn't, unconsciously, of course, not consciously, but unconsciously, I was not letting it go. And I was, I guess, I wouldn't say that I was consciously doing this, but I kept it as a mask. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a wonderful, inspiring story. I just marinating in it, really. Yeah, I am excited for one to see where I'm looking at you. You're on my screen, and then my camera's here. In case you're wondering, why do I keep not looking at you? I'm trying to look at you, but then I'm not actually seeing you. I am excited by your work, and I wonder what your aspirations are as far as like, are you working on bringing it more to the corporate? Are you working on just, I don't mean just, but are you centered on your own wonderful smile and making sure that's like, what's your priority? I guess is what I'm trying to ask you in your work currently.
My priority is I've had a pretty amazing life. I live an amazing life. I live the life. And I created it intentionally. And I've done everything I've ever wanted to do. I've traveled. I'm married to the most amazing husband a woman could ever want. I have the most amazing son. I had an amazing first marriage. I've built wealth. I've owned a home on the cliff in Malibu that I built with my hard-earned money. I have nothing. I just, I'm not, who I am is, I'm not interested in the material world in an accumulation model. When I had an extra $350,000, who has an extra $350,000? But there was something I wanted, and it was to coach with Steve Hardison, who's known as the ultimate coach. He's worth a Google. And I learned so much from him, and his fee was like made me faint. And he lived in Arizona, and the only way to work with him is to go to Arizona. So I would fly to Arizona twice a month for 4 years. And I wanted that more than I wanted the stuff, more than I wanted the second home, or actually had that, but it was a transition. When there was a point where I had built a really big house, and I was like, this is too big, and scaled down. It's not stuff that makes me want to be in this human suit in this life. It is experience and the possibility that I'm free. I got free, and it was hard won. And if the only thing I want to live for is that my life could help others get free, really. I mean, that's my aspiration. How do you want to use me, universe? And this seems to be the way, but I drop it every day and say, okay, I'm super attached to this, but again, how do you want to use me? And so I know that my traumas and my challenges and obstacles have also been my medicine. And what I did to overcome and get free is not for everybody. I mean, most people would never do what I did, I don't think. It's too outside the box. But it is for somebody. And that's who I dream to connect with, especially online, because we have that opportunity to reach people who we never would have reached before, other countries. Look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a very similar phrase when you say it's not for everybody, or I've done, amazing things that I've thought I've started off doing them wanting to show other people that if I can do it, you can do it. And then I've thought, I don't know if you can do it because it's really, really hard. But talking to you makes me think, like, even though it's really, really hard, I have no doubt that what you went through and what I went through and what so many people go through is like so hard. But then the reward is so worth it. And I guess I question, pardon me, that phrase that I heard you say and reverberated back in my ears that I know I've thought and said, because maybe more people than we think are capable or want to do that hard work in order to find themselves. I'm banking on the same thing. I've come to the same place where it's, I feel like to me, we're all connected. So the more I can help other people find that center, and when I hear your amazing story and see how unique it is, and just think about how every individual has, an equally unique but challenging and rewarding story to dive into and live into potentially. I mean, also agree that it's hard, and I understand why people don't do it because it's maybe easier to not take it's scary to admit that to humble yourself every day as you're describing doing, to let go of what you think makes you. Those kind of things are tough. I'm curious if you've heard of Gabrielle Reese. I wanted to ask you earlier. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you meant way earlier,
Oh,
some
yeah.
work that reminded me of her work, and I've dived into some of that myself. So
Oh,
she's
yeah.
doing wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Time is flying by, so I want to make sure we get to anything that you want to talk about as far as your goals. You're talking about how does the universe use you, and we met in this delightful online group of founders and people wanting to explore more entrepreneurial endeavors. So I'm wondering, is that
Yeah. It's a, It really is confronting for me, and it is maybe something that I sort of cut around in corporate by. I mean, the truth is, in corporate, numbers scared me, quotas scared me, and if I focused on them, I'm the person that when I diet, I gain weight. When I focused on the numbers and the quotas, and it was I guess it was because it was packaged in this really cold kind of the structure was it was hard. It was harsh. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we could probably have a whole podcast on that, but the way that I just had to keep it warm and keep those edges in a flow. What I'm learning humbly now as an entrepreneur and wanting to launch an online empire, and that there, I said it. I didn't say it in my aspirations, but I really want this work to make a difference in the world in a really big way. And I love the zero to founder work that we're doing for making all of those scary, like even I'm a really smart person. I have a master's degree. I'm in a PhD program right now because I'm a lover of learning and I'm just going to stay a student forever. I'm, I got obviously my bachelor's degree. I was good, but man, you put, math, science, logistics, spreadsheets in front of me. Even my accountant for 25 years, I sprout pigtails when I go in there every year and I freeze. And so I love this. I think it's one of the most powerful offerings I've ever seen. I'm just so honored, and so I have so much respect for Tom Bilyeu because he's doing this. His love and care for humanity. I mean, he puts his money where his mouth is. And I am actually having a lot of breakthroughs on the foundational, getting rid of the fluff and getting really clear as a gesture of to say that I want to do my part in saving humanity is one thing, and I love that, and so many good people feel that way. But to make the sacrifice and get uncomfortable and go to the places in that movement that for me make me feel stupid, that I just can't even imagine why it's important to test my idea before I go to market. There's so much getting drunk on my own inspiration. And it's not that my story isn't real and that my approach doesn't work, but because you didn't live it with me, unless I have a really clear way of speaking it into the world and demonstrating it, you're really never going to ever get the value of it. And so this is really amazing, this program. And I've only been in it a month. You've been here a while longer. But I love it. I literally are on my hands and knees. It is the answer to my prayer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say you're doing an excellent job. I find your articulation quite clear, and just I'm following and hanging on what you're saying as you're explaining what you're into. So I'm excited to see where you go next with it. I don't want to pry too much because I know it's still in an inception period, perhaps. So I do want to ask you though, if you could just magically instill one habit in all of humanity today, is there one that you would instill in us?
Yeah, it would be get up to speed on neuroscience. Every thought makes a chemical, and we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. And every thought is a frequency. And if you can, it's so hard to get this. I mean, people are going to fumble and fumble and fumble because our thoughts are just going off. We don't even know that we are a witness, a separate awareness that has dominion over what we think. But when you just accept that as law, the way you do gravity, I mean, it's just the way it is. We have the information now, so you can't argue with it. Get good at noticing your thoughts, what you're thinking about, and if what you're thinking about isn't working for you, change what you're thinking, and then fire and wire that over and over again. And that's how you build a new identity. Actually, that's like secret number one. Yeah, that would be that, and in a be doing that in a context of movement and using your voice. There is so much healing and heartbrain coherence. Oh, we didn't get into heart math. Anyway.
You have to talk about it another time. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way that we keep coherent, keep moving, keep breathing, involve your body. You are movement. You're not a sitting thing, the way we were, taught in school. We are movement. We are movement. We are movement. And if you keep that as your GPS, is that nothing's happening outside your own thinking. So pick good thinking, and keep moving. Yeah.
Nice. I 100% agree. Where can people find you if they would like to look into your work more, Gina?
Thank you. Biologyofbeing.me is my website. I am launching an online class that anybody can join. It's just a workout. It's not just a workout class, but like a workout class. Here's my studio. I'll give you a little. Oh, you can see my sign back there, but that's where I teach from. And my website is under construction right now. So if you went there right now, it's going to look wonky. And but that is, just all the good, bad, and ugly of entrepreneur life. We're under construction constantly, right?
It seems to be the case, yes. But I will get links for anyone who's interested and put those in show notes, that sort of thing. So.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Has been wonderful. It's just a joy. Your smile is just I was imagining as you're talking about people coming to you in the corporate world, it's got to be partly that smile. It's just makes one feel really good to be in your presence, Gina. And so thank you for sharing.
Likewise.
With me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to sign us out. Thank you for tuning in to the Authentic Action Podcast today. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Gina as much as I did. Don't forget to check out her website and her work. If you're interested in heart math, heart coherence, yoga, journaling, breath work, any of the many forms of practical healing, I highly, highly encourage you to begin where you are and just dive in. You're exactly enough, exactly as you are, and right now is the perfect time to begin to allow more healing into your life. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, the Sleeping Dragons Co., over at sleepingdragonsco.com, where you can find essential oils, phthalate-free perfumes, and other self-love supplies. Thanks for being you. Thanks for tuning in today. And until next time, ciao for now.